You ready to take your leadership journey to the next level? On the leadership platform TLP, we don't just talk about leadership, we live it. This year, we are bringing you cutting-edge insights, transformative tools, and real-world strategies to help you lead with confidence, purpose, and impact. This year, we have 4 seasons with 50 episodes. We will dive into themes such as leading self, leading others, and leading institutions. We bring you Leaders Are Readers. This monthly session focuses on book reviews, discussions, encouraging all participants to read along with selected books on personal leadership and professional leadership. We also have a time with the CEO. In this segment, we dive into the stories of prominent CEOs who share their insights, lessons learned throughout their leadership journey. We also bring you extraordinary leadership stories, highlighting individuals in our societies who are doing extraordinary things. This segment inspires viewers with real-life examples of leadership in action. We will bring you some brilliant minds, courageous leaders changing the narrative of Africa. We also bring you, finally, the expert-led sessions, which cover a wide range of leadership and personal development topics, providing practical guidance and actionable strategies for personal and professional development. The leadership platform is your go-to space for personal growth, professional breakthroughs, and meaningful connections. I am Joy Bunsu-Schmutz, co-host on TLP, and I will see you every Saturday, 7 p.m. GMT, live on YouTube and Facebook.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. My name is Samuel Ayim, and I'm excited to be with you this evening. As always, our best part of the week, Saturday, 7 p.m. Call your friends, call your family, and come around. Let's gather to learn. Let's CTL Africa Leadership. This platform is powered by CTL Africa Leadership, and today I'm here with Sarah Jesiapia joining all the way from Switzerland. Akofa is here, Joy is around. Everybody is ready to serve you the dinner of Saturday growth. Now, please join us by just telling us where your name and where you are connecting from, so that we can introduce you to the whole wide world. So feel free. We know that some of you who join and you don't necessarily want to show up, but it's always a pleasure to have you on the leadership platform. So please connect, invite your friends and team members to join a very interesting subject, and a very led leader is going to share a bit of how she's impacting people, legacy she's living in many young souls. And so we're going to have a discussion, and as we discuss, please, you can just by your questions, comments, suggestions through the chat. You are joining either from Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Please let us know where you are coming from. I can see Adubia Ayim is joined by and your colleague on the platform as we start the show. All right. So because we're going to discuss, we're going to have a chat, and I will invite Sarah to join. I'll introduce our speaker briefly so that we can speaker this evening speaking on the topic of leading for legacy as Madam Elizabeth Kwesi, 16 years of experience as principal and owner of Madam Elizabeth Armah leads a Christian Montessori learning environment between 1 and 10, team building, teacher mentoring, leadership development, fostering a culture of inclusion that extends special needs through the school's elementary arm. Now, before all this amazing stuff, Madam Armah has had a career in education. Before having this career in education, she has spent over 12 years in marketing, advertising, and public relationship at Jones Lang Wotton, now Jones Lang Lassalle in London. I hope I pronounced it well. She will correct me when she comes. With a background that continues to inform her leadership and communication style. She went on to train at the London Montessori Center, now Montessori Center International, earning her Montessori diploma, and has since become recognized and award-winning educationist. She was named country and regional winner of the education and training in 2016 by the CEO's Communication, a South African publication group behind the most influential women in business and governance awards. Mrs. Armah also serves as a trustee of Awawa 2, as an Akan word, which is like welcome, Hagen, an NGO founded by international educationists and specialists supporting children with communication difficulties. She is guided by the mission of nurturing leaders. Madam Armah continues to champion individualized creative education, thus empowering education to deliver excellence and ensuring every child has the opportunity to shine and thrive within the Little Treasures community. This is an pleasure to invite my platform.
Good evening.
Great. Now I'm going to invite my co-conspirator, partner in crime, well, proper crime, fostering growth and leadership across the continent. Sarah Jessie Appiah is with us all the way from Switzerland. And Sarah, you are welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Wonderful.
Great to have you here.
So I'm in
Great
between these
to be on
two
the call.
great women. At the background, there was about sixth floor, and they were wondering what is the sixth floor. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
I
it
hope
looks
you
as if
can
we
hear
have
me. My network is a bit scratchy.
yeah, yeah,
So
Uncle Sam.
you bear with me, sir. You're going to help me. Wait, I see Oscar Jonathan. So, Akojo Kwache or Kwajo Kwache, is it the same person? Akojo from Accra, and Fifi Oscar is from Accra also. All right. So, without further ado, let's keep.
All right, Sam, I think I'll
Sorry,
take
I
over
hand over
from
to
here.
Sarah to kick us
Yeah,
going.
yeah, I'll take over from here because there is a little challenge with your internet. So, welcome again, Auntie Lizzie, as I call you. Great to have you on the call. I believe this is your first time on the leadership
It is
platform.
indeed.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes, it
We,
is.
we, we are privileged to have you to share with us. So, to start off with, I know you told me we have met, and I couldn't recall.
Yes,
I mean, it's all because we are all on the sixth floor, right? And when I say
we
sixth
are
floor,
indeed.
we are 60 plus. So let's see what conversation that we can have as it pertains to legacy for today. So tell us a little bit. Yes, Sam has given us a little bit of background as to who you are. What is it that is not on your bio that we have to know?
hmm Well, thank you for this opportunity. Good evening, everybody. My journey. Well, I'm the first child of five, so I'm the eldest. You know, the eldest can be a bit bossy at times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the eldest, I believe, have a strong sense of duty and responsibility. But my influences really come from my parents and the kind of environment that I was brought up in. My parents are very much my role models. They served Ghana for over 50 years as public servants representing Ghana internationally. My father was in the diplomatic service and then became a politician in the 60s, and then later became a member of the Council of State in the 2000s under President Kufuor. So he actually died still serving in active service. I think it was one of the first to do so. So I knew at an early age that I had big shoes to fill. Our household was international. Various languages were spoken, lots of different dishes. I understood Spanish before I was five, and I speak French and Italian. And my parents set a good example in terms of the importance of training and grooming. They were very young when they came to serve Ghana, so I had to undergo a lot of training and grooming. And because I guess I was the first child, it rubbed off. It rubbed off on me as well. So they're very much my role models, and very very proud of what they have achieved. And my father made it very clear that besides his faith in God, serving his nation was high priority in his life. So um, that's
Okay,
me in a
so
nutshell.
all right. So actually, what you have shared is legacy in a nutshell that your
Mm-hmm.
parents really instilled in you. And we're going to talk about it, how you have
Mm-hmm.
taken that mantle and how that is being translated right now since you've gotten to the sixth floor, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
So tell us a little bit where apart from this grooming from your parents, what is it that
Mm-hmm.
really is driving you to this issue of legacy? And when we say legacy, what is your definition of legacy?
I think, first of all, I think the society pressures on when you hit 60 is such a negative one. When you hit 60, it doesn't mean that life is ended for you. It's very much a time for, I think, rebirthing, renewal, and really finding out what sparks joy in you and what you want to do to fulfill your destiny. A lot of people are in jobs and in careers that they have no interest in or dislike, and are just merely existing. They're existing from day to day. But it's important for me, when I knew I was coming back home to Ghana. I was brought up mainly in the UK and Europe. That I wanted to give back and do my bit for national development. I didn't quite know what niche that would be until I hit my mid-30s, mid-40s. But I'd been put into different leadership positions from quite a young age. So leadership is something that has been with me for a while, and a lot of people recognized in me that I had gifts and talents and skills that I myself wasn't aware of. So I knew I wanted to do something that had national impact and would affect generations, but I wasn't sure what it is I wanted to do until mid-30s, 40s.
All right. So, how long have you been in the country? I mean, you said you lived in the UK, you've lived in Spain, you lived in Italy. So, more or less, you are a child from the diaspora, right?
I am.
Okay. Okay, so we have that in common. So, what is it
Yes.
coming back home with this idea of legacy and leadership? Tell us a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more of how this transition has been for you from the different
Mm-hmm.
continents that you have lived on and coming back
Mm-hmm.
home to contribute and to build the legacy, leave a legacy.
Well, it's been very interesting. It's been I had a baptism of fire, adapting to sort of the Ghana way of life. Things are a bit slower here, move slowly in Ghana. But I think I've adapted very. I've been back for 20 years.
Okay.
Yes, so I sort of give myself a pat on the back that I have managed to survive the various changing scenes of life in Ghana. But yes, when you come from outside Ghana, your perspective and your frame of reference is very different. So I had to learn how to adapt to the Ghana way of life, but also infuse an international flavor into what you're doing. I'm very passionate about learning languages. It's very important that we're surrounded by francophone countries. So learning French at an early age was very important. My father's in Zuma, and I have Ivorian relations, so he made it a point for us to learn French, even though he didn't speak it. And my mother doesn't speak French, doesn't speak in Zuma, but we understand a little bit. So it was important from that perspective, and also just traveling and food as well was very important. Food is a great way of introducing culture to people in a very informal way. So we've always been surrounded by people who who have an international mindset.
Okay.
So coming to Ghana was interesting. So I had to unlearn some things, relearn some things, and learn, new ways of navigating, and not be so British in my ways.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. So, in building your school, how long have you been with this Montessori sort of institution that you since you came to Ghana? Is it 20 years also? Or is that, if I look at your CV, that is about 16 years? How
16
long?
years since I started our school, Little Treasures Montessori School,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
based in Roman Ridge in Accra. But I actually started my Montessori journey 30 years ago.
All right. Okay.
So basically, I had a friend who was going through a divorce, and then she was given a job at the Commonwealth Secretariat. And I invited her to lunch, and she brought with her a 4-year-old who lived with her grandmother in Medina and went to a Montessori school. And she was the most amazing person I've ever met. She was very confident, very articulate, and she helped me lay the table. She spoke throughout. I mean, I've never met a 4-year-old who was so self-assured, and it piqued my interest about Montessori. And so I went to research about Montessori and found out that the London Montessori Centre at the time was about 50 minutes away from where I used to work at Jones Lang Wilton LaSalle now. So I went for an open day. I think it was September, October 1995. That dates me a bit. And I handed in my notice in December 1995 and started my Montessori course January 1996.
All right.
All because of a 4-year-old.
Yes.
Wow.
This 4-year-old was your teacher. This 4-year-old was your teacher. She transformed you. And we just want to acknowledge you for that. Yeah. Okay, so as you said, when you transitioned to Ghana, there were things you had to learn, things that you have to relearn. How did you use that in building your team? Because yes, here you were back in Ghana 16 years ago, you were starting your school. You had a different mindset. How does that shape the way that you build your team? And what are some tips that you can give to us as we build our teams?
Okay, well, I think, first of all, it was important because I didn't school here for a long period of time. I didn't have a steady network of people. So I had to grow my own and really find out what the education landscape was like here first before I decided to set up my own. It was always been my ambition to start my own school. I might add. I knew during my Montessori course that was my ultimate goal. But in terms of learning things, I think one thing that I celebrate is being different, is standing out amongst in a crowd. You know, education is a very dynamic market, and it's very competitive. I think here in Ghana we like when things are very comfortable and people do similar things. I'm someone that likes to do things differently, and so I had to learn how things are done in Ghana, but then put my own spin and an international flavor to it. So we had some interesting back and forth in terms of how you address people, how you generally when you are a leader, how you are viewed and addressed. I wasn't used to being called a madam, mummy, various terms like that. Having my bag being held for me, things like that. It was quite a eye-opening, eye-opening for me, and I would always be. I'm quite independent, and I'd be, we'd have mini arguments and stuff. I'm quite capable of holding my own. No, you are madame. You have to act accordingly. And of course, my accent. When I get very passionate, I speak quite fast. And there's a running joke with our staff that when I was speaking, they would just nod politely. And of course, I thought they understood everything that I was saying. And in fact, they hardly understood a word. I mean, we laugh about it now, but at the time, I wasn't good at reading people's faces and expressions as I am now. So I learned to speak a bit more slowly, and I listen to understand rather than just listen to respond.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so building a team, really you needed to read the cultural aspects.
Exactly. Yes.
Of the environment that you found yourself, and that helped you really understanding and responding to the people that you were leading. But since you were living, I will say you were in two sort of cultural setting. What is it that you found difficult or challenging, and what is it that was a strength for you living in two cultures to build your team?
That's a very good question. I hope some of my team are watching. I found, well, first of all, I had to retrain all of them, even though they came from different walks of life and had qualifications. Each institution, each school has a culture, has a way of doing things, and getting them to understand where I was coming from took some time, and not just accent, but just my frame of reference. I would say something, so well, no, that's not how we do it here in Ghana. You have to understand, you do it like this, and then once you've understood how we do it, then you can then bring your international flavor to it. So I had to and be open to learn and eager to listen. And I believe through that it really created a psychological safety net in terms of the culture in our school, where our staff are very much open to express themselves and give their opinions. I think that was something that was they were not used to, and also asking people's opinions of things, because obviously if you're the leader, the buck stops with you. You lead, but that was not my leadership style. I like to elicit people's different viewpoints and perspectives and hear what you have to say before then making a final decision. And the important thing was getting buy-in from the people who had a hand in making decisions. That was very important. So that took time. And you can imagine that we had some interesting disagreements along the way.
So what for example, if you could give us a practical example of one of the challenges that happened, how did you deal with that?
Okay, so I have permission from one of our teachers to mention this. So our vice principal for preschool, shout out to Miss Lara and the rest of the teaching and non-teaching staff at LTMS and LTMS Plus, was getting married. She gave us the invitations all in good time. And on that particular day, my mother had a 1-year anniversary to go to. So she had to go be dressed black and white, come home, change. And it was quite far. I think it was on the way to Oshesi near Abokubi. And because it was far, I impressed upon my mother that we needed to leave early and get to the venue early. When we got there, nothing was organized. There was all I could see was a very angry, irate decor person who just was sitting there, refusing to budge or say or do anything. And then I had my mother on the other side, who was furious because obviously I cut short her social engagement to come to a place where absolutely nothing was happening. All the chairs were not organized, nothing was organized. And I could see, you know, mothers have a look. They don't say much, but when you see that look, you know you have to do something and sort of rescue the perishing, which is what I did. I got into action mode and just took over. We organized, we had about an hour and a half until Lara was supposed to come get married. It was a garden wedding and have the reception. So we had to organize all the chairs. I mean, we had to literally, it was like an event planner, and I just took over. And we laugh about it now, but she thanks me that she did in fact did get married. But you know, when you're invited to something and you're expecting a certain level of organization and it's not happening, I'm not someone that can just sit and, you know, watch life go by. I just went into action mode and organized a wonderful reception and wedding party for her.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And cut the decor person down.
Wow. This is an excellent challenge that has really demonstrated, I believe, your servant leadership style, right? Yeah. The opportunity came and you had to do that. So actually, I was going to ask you about, as far as your leadership style is concerned, what is some inner work that you had to do to really shape the way you lead now, or when you came to Ghana? What has been the journey? Talk to us about that.
Okay. Well, I had to learn to become more self-aware. I think it's important. You can't lead people unless you lead yourself. And once you are aware of who you are and how your emotions impact others, I believe emotional intelligence is one of the most important skills I had to learn. And also the fact that you know, when you're building a team, it's like baking a cake. The different ingredients go in before you get the finished article. So you need you know, the go-getters. You need the people who are the thinkers, the doers, all in the same melting pot. But they all have different personalities and temperaments. And you need to have a good understanding of what they are. What I had to find out was that I would give out tasks, projects, and assignments. And well, you know, you tell me you're a trained teacher, you tell me you're a graduate, so by all means you should be able to handle the task, right? And then couldn't understand why it wasn't done to the level that it should be done, or they didn't quite understand what was expected of them. So I've had to do a lot of training on the staff on learning what our personalities are and how that shapes us. Not just your environment, you know, you're a mix of nature and nurture. You know, yes, your genes from your parents, but also the environment that you're brought up in shapes you, and the temperaments. And once we understood that, we had a series of very insightful and revealing workshops on what our different personalities are. That really helped us to understand one another and become more tolerant of one another. If you look at what is happening, for instance, in South Africa, you know, where the lack of understanding of each other and lack of tolerance, and look where that's leading you. So we got to understand one another, we got to be more tolerant, and therefore understood what our strengths and our weaknesses were. And therefore, so when I had to give out a task or a project or an assignment, I knew how to put a team, you know, a team of people together in order to execute it as effectively as possible. And that took quite some time. But I believe now I have a group of teachers who I call the 4 pillars. They've been with me between 10 and 15 years. And so we know each other quite well. And so we know what we can and what we can't do. And it's music to my ears when I want to do something, and they say, "It's okay. We've got this. We've got you covered. We can handle this." And that's what you want to hear from your team, that you've empowered and equipped them and trained them to lead without with as little supervision as possible.
Wow, wow. So definitely, yeah, really understanding their personality, using your emotional intelligence, and then also listening, because I hear that a lot, that you listening and unlearning all this packaged together in the way that you were developing your people, to the extent that now they already feel empowered, really. So that is the great work I'm hearing. Okay, so this is beautiful. So one thing I would like to maybe focus on, because we're talking about legacy, what you did at the wedding, right? What did they learn from you? That example that you showed, so that even now, 30 years from now, when people are speaking about you, what do you hope they will say about your leadership?
About my leadership style? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. The networking.
With all this that you have shared with us, right? 30 years from now, your team, if they're speaking about you, what do you hope they will say about your leadership?
That's an interesting. What they would say about me in 30 years' time? In 30 years' time, I'll be in my 90s. I
exactly.
And my mother is a very sprightly, agile 90-year-old, very sharp. Well, I hope that they would have helped to build a school that has become an institution and become a school of preferred choice of people who we want to become movers and shakers for the next generation, and that we had a part in playing in making sure that they are responsible, compassionate global citizens who are not only skilled, but people who can attribute their formative years and their success to having a solid background in their early years education that has helped them to become the success that they are. I would also hope that some of them have gone on to open their own schools, and thereby, expand and promote Montessori education even further. But that's my hope.
Okay, so that's the hope, and is it part of the legacy? Because this Montessori philosophy that you're talking about, how will that impact our educational system?
Well, I think it's important. There are a lot of myths about Montessori. First of all, let me just dispel what some of the myths are. It's not an education approach where you're allowed to do whatever you like, and you have the freedom to do what. It's very much a child-centered, hands-on approach that promotes independent learners, and the teacher has to do a lot of spiritual preparation in order to make sure that they understand how children learn before they can then create a prepared environment for children to thrive. That's very important, and that takes time to do, because you've got to know yourself. You've got to be able to manage yourself, but you also got to know the children and understand how they learn and how the different learning styles. So it's not just knowing the Montessori philosophy. It's also you preparing yourself to give your best version of yourself to the children, because you are their role models. And in Montessori, the teachers are called directresses. They're guides. They facilitate learning. They don't tell you what to do. They guide you as to what you do.
Okay, so I'm just hearing three areas. You've talked about yourself. You've talked about the teachers. You've talked about the children, right? Those are the
environment.
And then the environment, and also the parents, right?
Yeah, so there's an interplay going on.
And you're talking also about faith.
Yes, very important to me.
Yeah, you're talking so 6 key areas. How do you bring all this together?
How do
you bring all these 6 elements together?
That's a very good question. Well, it takes teamwork to make the dream work, right? So it's important that when you enter our campus, that you get a sense that definitely we are a Christian setting. Our mandate is let your light shine, and it's important that each child that goes through our hands blossoms wherever they find themselves and shine. We also have 2 main scriptures on our walls. One is Isaiah 54:13, which says our children should be taught of the Lord, and excuse me, peace will be found therein. And the other one is Isaiah 8:18, that our children are for signs, miracles, and wonders. And it is something that we want to inculcate and instill in every child that comes through LTMS. And it's important that we practice our faith. It's not just we use it as a marketing tool, as a marketing slogan. We actually do have Bible classes. We have child-led assemblies on Friday, and they lead praise and worship, and they pray for the different categories that we talked about. So they pray for teachers, pray for parents, and then they pray for themselves as well. So the Christian element is very much interwoven into everything that we do, and it informs everything we do. I think it's important to have a moral compass. Parents, these days want to know that your children are not just being educated to pass exams, but they also develop life skills and other talents and gifts that will help them to become, better students, better citizens, eventually. So it's all interwoven, but it's important that the teacher works in hand with the parent. It's a partnership. We can't, parents are the first educators of children, and they very much, children take their cue not just from the parents, but from the teachers as well. They're very influential. And it's important that we are on the same page and there isn't a conflict of interest. It's always interesting to know how parents discipline their children, how parents talk to their children, and how they view their children. It's interesting. At times you can have a meeting with a parent and you describe their child and they don't recognize who you're talking about, because children are very clever. They know how to adapt their behavior to different environments. And so if it's Miss Liz, they know how to act in a certain way. If it's Daddy, very different from when they're with mummy as to whether they're with grandparents. And all that comes with training. So I'm very big on training and development. It's very important that you learn to not just do the inner work yourself, become a better practitioner, both personally and professionally, but also you have an understanding of how children learn, child development, and also, we have teachers who are also parents. And you find that when you're a teacher and you're a parent, you're constantly, having to balance the two roles. Yeah.
So we have child development, we have adult learning, we have training and development, we have team building. You've done all that. You've done all that and you're still doing that. So what will be next for you as you prepare for your legacy? What is
next for what do I want to do? I want to move towards more training and consulting. And it's something I've done in the past, but one thing I noticed that post-COVID, and during COVID, I was doing a lot of guidance and counseling and praying with parents to reassure them that it was important that they remained calm and remained focused and not focused so much about what's going on in the outside world. And so I decided this year, my watchword for this year is divine alignment, and to make sure that everything I do aligns with the Word of God. That's very important because I'm a woman of faith, and I embarked on an intensive coaching course, which I'm about to come to the end of, and it's called BMBS, Becoming My Best Self coaching course, which is a leadership and transformation development firm that is helps to become a woman-centered transformational leadership facilitator. and coach, but with a very much Afrocentric bias. One of the things I think that is at the foremost of my mind. In the next few years, over 60% of the world population is going to be focused in Africa, which I'm sure you're aware of, and yet there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency, I believe, nationally, to really empower and equip the youth. There's a lot of work going on in pockets, but I think there needs to be a collective responsibility, a national strategy as to how we're going to harness this amazing opportunity that's coming our way, when the world will have no choice but to look at Africa for development.
You've even given us more years. Actually, in the next 4 years, the working force in the world will be Africa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will be African. And you being in the education, I will say in this education sphere, with the teachers that you've trained, your team and all that, I'm just wondering, or I'm just curious to see this Montessori philosophy. How are you coming together? Or better still, do you have an association that will really be able to impact this vision as far as,
So there is a Montessori Association of Ghana, and they're doing their best to harness and get together the various Montessori schools and Montessori practitioners and educators. But as you can imagine, there are a lot of schools that call themselves Montessori, but don't actually practice the Montessori philosophy. And therein lies issues and problems. So it's very important, I think, that we come together as a collective body, collective responsibility, and make sure that we have better trained teachers to promote the Montessori philosophy, and who have a better understanding of the role that they have to play in education and in children's lives, and also educate the parents. The parents now have access to the internet, and constantly challenging you because they're reading all this information, and they are wanting to know, are you up to it? Are you up to date with all the current trends that are going on? Because Montessori was the first woman doctor in Italy, and she developed this method of education over 100 years ago, and it's still going strong, and it's still relevant. And that says something.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, as you get into the next phase of your training for the transformation. Actually, when you said transformation, it brought me back to this young 4-year-old who transformed you. So it looks as if you come full circle. Now it's your turn to transform other people at a larger scale and to train them. How is that going to look like?
I think it's important to understand one of the guiding Montessori principles is putting children first. Everything is child-centered. Everything is centered around the child. And I think it's important to not just know the child, but understand where children are coming from. They are much more exposed these days. I was amazed to hear that one of our elementary students is actually teaching herself to speak Mandarin via the internet. She's, I think she's 8.5, 9, but believes that learning Mandarin is going to help her in future, and nobody has forced her to do it. She's decided to do it of her own bat.
And this is
And I asked,
a student to
yeah,
you?
this is one of our students. Yes.
Okay.
And so I asked her, why Mandarin? Why you should, oh, well, the Chinese are very prominent at the moment, and you never know. Maybe one day Mummy might get a job in China, and I'll be able to help her. And she said that with a straight face, and was very, sincere about it. And I believe, she will succeed. I mean, she has a very good ear for languages. She's very good at French, and is very musical. And in fact, one of our oldest students is a model Montessori child.
How old
Yeah.
is this? How old is this child?
She's 8.5, 9.
All right. So this is the product. These are the children you are producing. Really have a future way of thinking, strategic way of thinking. So I just want to acknowledge you. Yeah, I just want to acknowledge you. And I think at this stage, I will see whether Uncle Sam can join us if he has other questions. I'm looking in the comments to see whether there are any comments or questions. Uncle Sam, welcome. Uncle Sam, can you hear us? Okay, so
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear us? Uncle Sam, we can hear you. Okay, so before you come on then, there is a question here that says, what are your top 5 questions or lessons that you can draw from the experience on building a legacy as a leader? So, audience, let's hear from you. And I can see Kwame JB watching from Kent. Kwame JB, thank you for being with us. Tika is here, our own Tika, saying, great to see Liz, Miss Liz, on this platform, watching from Canada. Tika, hello.
Hi, Tika.
Hello to you. Good to have you with us. And then Alberto Donko says, good day, team. So as we wait for Uncle Sam to join us with his questions, what are some of the key legacy maybe tips that you can give to us?
Okay. So I think it's...
Now that you're on the 6th floor.
we are on the 6th floor. It's a growing club. It's a growing club. Don't you find you're busier now than you ever were? I think I'm more intentional and more deliberate about where I put my focus. I try not to get too distracted by things that really are not going to help me achieve and fulfill what my plans are for the rest of the year. And it's a good time to reevaluate where you are. We're halfway through the year. So I think it comes back to self-awareness. I can't stress that enough. And being emotionally intelligent. Going back to leading yourself before you lead others, and then leading. Can you hear me, Uncle Sam?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So yes, going back to self-awareness and knowing yourself and managing yourself before you can lead with purpose. That's so important. And understanding others, understanding each other, and the influence you have on the various different relationships that you have before you can lead with presence. And that doesn't, you don't learn that in a classroom. That is something that comes with maturity, comes with training, and comes with interacting with a wide range of people So you need to have interpersonal skills and a mutual respect for, talking to people at different levels. I think, yes, that's what I would
Yeah. Okay.
talk
And
about.
yeah. And I see Adobia AEC saying, great insight shared, Liz. Well done for the amazing job you have done at LTMS.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you, Edu.
Yeah, thank you, Adobia. And I love
Yeah,
the summary that you gave, saying you lead yourself before others. That is
yes.
number one that is coming out. And also investing in the people before you expect performance, because that's what you did exactly. And also having the environment, creating that psychologically safe environment so that the people can grow, not just the
Yeah.
people, the people that the children that you're grooming as well as the parents. And for me, what I love most is how you served first. I mean, you were invited to go to a wedding, but hey, you got there and nothing was happening, and you just put your hands to the plow to serve first. That's servant leadership. So once you did that, we saw others following you. And also, you did mention about building institutions that develop the future generation, not dependent on only one individual. It's a teamwork if you want to. And I love the fact that you'd also said that retirement doesn't mean you just have to sit. There is
Yeah.
always room to do more. I guess I have
Absolutely.
one of Alberto Donko says, what are your top three practices that fuel your emotional intelligence?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think first of all, there's a need. You can't be your best self by yourself. Once told me that, and it's important to have. You need a good support system. Okay. You can be self-aware and still not be aware that there are certain things that you do that affect people negatively or positively. But if you have a good support system and a group of friends and cheerleaders to spur you on, they can point things like that to you. I think it's also important. We talk about, a lot of us talk about having a lot of friends. One thing I notice about as I get older, my circle of friends gets smaller, and learning to categorize where your friends are. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and you have to be discerning and have the right sort of mindset to know where each person falls within those categories. When you see people having thousands of followers on social media, they can't all be your friends.
That's right.
It's not physically possible. The other thing I think is learning to delegate more and entrusting your staff to run with it. It's very difficult when you're a founder or an owner or a leader, and you ask for something to be done, and it's done, but it's not done in the way that you would do it. For me, it was a learning curve to understand and celebrate the fact that it was done. Okay, that was important, and then have a conversation where you look at the different perspectives and different ways of how you could have done that particular task or assignment or project in a different way, and then offer support. Now, all that has to be done in in a patient, in a humble, a gentle way, and not in a way that will spark, negativity, and really not help you accomplish the task in hand. I
Wow.
think that's important.
Wow. This is really deep. The lesson I'm picking out from here, I loved put this into pillars. You said, okay, you celebrate the person. And I remember one of my mentors saying, look for the 10%. That is great. So that's exactly
And
what
be
you do.
content with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You celebrate
Absolutely.
the person. You celebrate the person. And then in all humility, you create that and psychologically safe environment, give your
Exactly.
feedback. Even when you give the feedback, you have to say what support you are there to hold the hand to make it happen. To make
But
it
still
happen.
remain in the distance. Still
Yes,
remain in the distance.
exactly.
So,
But then, to ask what support the person needs. You just don't give the
exactly.
feedback. All
Or
right.
take over.
Or take over. Okay, so having that push and pull way. Wow, that is beautiful. And also, the words, the way you approach the person and really give that feedback and then the support. Beautiful. Thank you. Let's see whether we have any other questions. I don't see any comments or questions, and Uncle Sam is not able to join us because of the internet connection. So let's see whether I do have a question. One thing that crossed my mind is, you said every child should shine. You're making sure that every child should shine. And my question is about neurodivergence, divergent children. How do you deal with that in a Montessori environment? Because every child is different. Do we have space?
Absolutely.
Yeah, do we have space for such children who are not really neurotypical?
Well, I think very few people know that Montessori's origins lie in special needs.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it does, funny enough. And I do believe that if those of us who run Montessori schools, if we mopped up the neurodivergent children who had mild special needs and learning difficulties, and absorbed them and embraced them and welcomed them in our settings, and practiced inclusive education, I think that would help enormously. There's a place for different types of special needs in neurodivergent, but when you have a mild case, it's very important that they learn to assimilate within normal settings, and are treated just like every other child. In fact, 10% of our intake at LTMS and LTMS Plus is devoted to neurodivergent children with mild special needs and learning difficulties. So we've had a lot of success with children who had speech delay, and it seems to be an increase, both girls and boys. And we use the medium of music and art, the creative subjects, to release tension, and to also that seems to help enormously in helping them to express themselves, which is very important. During my training, when I was studying the Montessori course, we had an observation component, and one of the places we had to choose various settings to do it. And I decided to go to the Anna Freud Centre, which is in a lovely part of London, in Hampstead. And it was a centre for severely neurodivergent children. And we were supposed to go there, I think, for an hour. I think I spent half a day. I was absolutely amazed at how calm, how patient the staff were. And also, there was one girl I literally watched her just rocking herself and steadying herself before she felt centered enough to go and do an activity. And just watching how the rapport between the staff, the psychotherapists, and the art people, the play therapists, the different experts working together, and to help to give a neurodivergent child a chance of expressing themselves and being educated. And little did I know, 30 years later, that I would be championing neurodivergent children, within our school. But we've been doing it, and we have a good track record in that respect.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I have a question here from Adubia saying, many of your staff have stayed with you for over a decade. Share what you do to sustain and nurture staff to be so loyal, since staff turnover is a major problem in schools and businesses in Ghana. What is your secret?
It's a very good question. I have to full disclosure. Adabir was one of our trainers in emotional intelligence, and she helped to post-COVID. People went through a lot, and having to unpack that. When we came back from COVID, we didn't focus on academics. We focused on social and emotional learning.
Okay.
Yes, that was important, because if you've been confined and restricted in your movement and expressing yourself, when you find space, nature, trees, what have you, your natural instinct is to go wild. And so we're very much a family. We say that it's important that when you bring your child to LTMS, it's a home away from home. We try and create a homely atmosphere, and our staff are very committed and dedicated, and they do treat the children as if they're their own. They get to know them very well and know all their little funny ways and idiosyncrasies. The other thing is, I said I was big on training and development.
Yeah.
It's important. It's wonderful when you see how far a group of people have come when they came in having a set of skills, and now they can navigate, and frankly, they run the school on a day-to-day basis. I don't have very much to do, and that's testament to the fact that they remain loyal, they're dedicated, very committed, and also it's important. Learning should be fun. We have fun. We understand one another, and I've seen various teachers get married, have children, so grown, evolved, and transformed, and together over a period of time. It's important to treat your staff with humility and with respect. I mean, it's a two-way thing. I told you, we created a safe environment for them to say if they're not happy with something, they should be
Able to
have the
say that.
freedom, free to say it, and vice versa. One of the things I'm very big on, I say, when you praise, you raise a person, and when you criticize, you minimize.
Wow. When you praise, you raise a person. When you
When
criticize,
you
you
raise, you
minimize.
minimize.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I think before that you also gave a good quote that I've written down here. You said, great leaders don't simply build successful organization. They build places where every person has the opportunity to belong, contribute,
Absolutely.
and flourish.
And
So
that's actually a good way of describing inclusive education.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and
Because
that's what we should do, is create a sense of belonging for everybody, not just a select group of people.
yeah, because
Absolutely.
this is inclusive leadership. It is human-centered, really looking
Yeah.
at the COVID season. You were not just following the script, but you adapted as to the needs. Okay, and compassionate. That is brings that compassionate leadership. And then you said you're very big on training, so lifelong learning.
Yeah.
This,
Yes.
I believe, all culminate in building a legacy.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. I think we are fast spent with time. I'm not seeing any comments except from her ladyship, who is always on the call saying good evening to the house. And I just wanted to see what is the dessert that you have for us from this conversation. What is the pattern message that you want the viewers to take, not just take, but to put into action?
I think first of all, it's important to know that as you approach the sixth floor, um, we're in the sixth floor, right? So it's important to approach it not with fear and trembling. You know, it is an interesting time of your life, and it's a time of your life where you should look forward to doing new and exciting things that spark joy into you, and really get to know a part of yourself that you can help to pour into others. Because after all, you've gathered such a bank of expertise, experience, and it would seem such a shame just to have that and not channel it anywhere. And I believe, if we're going to make the most of the fact that over 60% of the world population is concentrated in Africa, that's a golden opportunity for those of us on the sixth floor and those approaching to say, right, what part can I play to make that happen and make it a level playing field for those who have to compete compete globally. I came across this acronym for what leadership actually is. I'd just like to end with that. But yes, self-awareness is key. I can't stress that enough. Emotional intelligence. So the acronym for leadership, the L is for listening, not just listening for listening's sake, but active listening, truly listening. E is for empathy. So you start trying to understand each other. A is for adaptability, flexible, and that's something we took away from COVID. We had to learn to pivot. D is for dedication, where you show up consistently. E is for ethics. The team, you build trust. The team needs your presence. A balance so that you're not controlling, but give them enough support and distance to carry out the task. R is for respect. and that goes both ways. You know, leadership is not about titles or posts. It's very much about creating more leaders and being a person of influence. S is for support. I think that's self-explanatory. It's important that you help others shine. Leadership is not about being me, myself, I, but it's very much about helping others and bring up more leaders, as I said. H is for humility. It's important to admit your mistakes. You know, we're not all perfect, and in fact, that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes, and then you move on. I is for inclusion. I think we've spoken about that. The different voices that are essential that make it more interesting. And P is for patience. You know, meaningful change takes time and patience. It doesn't happen overnight. So that's what I'd like to leave the audience with.
Yeah, Madam Liz, thank you so much. And with this acronym, I mean, you have talked us through. This has been your life. This is the legacy you are living. You've lived it, and this is the legacy that you leave us with. And I hope all of us will just even take one of these letters in leadership and commit to living it out for the coming week and even beyond. If we could take one every week to live it out, we will become better leaders and we'll be able to build a great legacy. So Liz, it's been wonderful having you. Yeah, and I hope this will not be your last. The last time will be first and last. And we look forward to coming back.
But yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. We look forward for you coming back to tell us what is happening on the 6th floor and beyond.
Whether I'm practicing what I'm preaching, right? Yeah. Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. Uncle Sam, I'm just wondering to see whether he has something to say or he can't. No. All right. So the internet is still not working. So Liz, thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing more exploits and how you're going to impact the world. I cannot wait. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So to our viewers, we say thank you. Those of you who were able to participate, we say thank you. And if you missed part of it, please know that we have it on our YouTube channel that you can listen to the beautiful lessons that Madam Liz has shared with us. Until next week, when we bring you another episode of the Leadership Platform, it's good night and goodbye. And thanks to the CTL team for putting this together. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do that now.